What happens when electric vehicles are actually put into practice in a commercial situation? Do they work? Can they be profitable? Can they survive the Metropolitan Marathon of actually being used in a commercial situation? So we have a case study, ladies and gentlemen. Case study for electric vehicles from Gnewt Cargo. Matt, would you like to come and tell us your tale?
Hello everyone. I'm Matthew. You may recognise me from the freakishly large photo in the brochure, so apologies for that. Thanks for having me. What a fantastic setting. I feel very important being up here. I know I'm not, but just bear with me. I'm from Gnewt Cargo. Everyone always, Quentin, thanks for pronouncing it correctly. Everyone always pronounces it incorrectly. Gnewt or Gnewt, or I keep finding myself saying, no, it's Gnewt. No, Gnewt. Okay, just say what you want. It doesn't matter. Gnewt Cargo, maybe rebrand is necessary, but it stands for Green New Transport. We've been going for about 3.5 years, and what I'll do today is tell you a bit about how we started, what exactly is it we do, and why is it important. A bit about what we're doing in the innovation space and making sure we're future-proofing ourselves and able to adapt what our vision is and all the sorts of challenges we found as we've gone along. So my background is in the environmental sector and in finance. I worked in the city for a bit. My business partner was involved in electric scooters and bringing them into the country. He's one of the first sort of to bring them into the country. We had distributorship of one called the Emax, which is a German-built scooter. Very, very expensive, but very well-built machine. We were too early in the market, so we decided to figure out what on earth we can do with electric vehicles rather than trying to sell them. So in November '09, we set up Gnewt Cargo, which is a last-mile logistics company. We're not a courier. We're sort of your smaller version of a TNT or something like that, where we do sort of milk round routes. It's easier for us that way. It's easier for us to use electric vehicles in that way because we can plan exactly the routes. We know how much they're able to do, how far they're able to go. We managed to sign very early on Office Depot, who are a large global office supplies company. And we started in a very small area of central London, just delivering their stationery in the EC postcodes, which is the City of London. And we started very, very small, 50 consignments a day, and it was me and Sam out on a couple of cargo cycles. We're now doing well over 2,500 consignments a day for a whole manner of clients, whether it's Office Depot or retail clients, or whether it's us being a subcontractor for sort of the larger third-party logistics companies like TNT or DX. We view ourselves as the city centre solution. So we don't mind whether we subcontract for larger companies or whether we go direct to retailers. We use an entirely electric vehicle fleet, and that ranges from, and we'll go through them in a second, but two-wheeled vehicles all the way up to large 7.5-ton vehicles. So these are the smaller vehicles we use. We've got bottom left-hand corner, what we call bullet bikes. We do those for sort of mail routes and things like that. Scooters, electric scooters, that in fact is the Emax, which we have a few of, that we do documents with. The cargo cycles we use the vehicles to suit the freight. So we consolidate as much as we can from different clients into the vehicles to make it the most efficient routing we can. And whatever fits, we use the vehicle to suit the freight. So the cargo cycles we use for the sort of small internet retail type packages you might have. Then we've got a large fleet of the Aixin mega vans, which you see on the left there. We've been trialling these 7.5-ton vehicles. We're about to buy some 3.5-ton vehicles, which are called the Bluebird City, which I don't know whether any of you have heard of, but they are built by the guys who do sort of land speed record, the Bluebird, the team. We've found ourselves swimming against the tide a little bit, certainly when we started. As I said, we've been going for 3 and a bit years now. At the beginning, we were very lucky to have Office Depot sort of validate our proposition and take us on. But it has been a long road, and a health warning, for any of you that are involved in electric vehicles, I'm sure you know, but it can enable you to lose your hair. I don't know whether that happened when I met my wife or whether it was the start of the business, but there you have it. There's a lot of skepticism, or there certainly was at the beginning. It was right on the right-hand side of that sort of chart there. Everyone was going, nice idea, but, it's not for us. For us, it's very important that we have to hit the right economic notes, be very cost competitive, and then further down the line, if we tick the green box, then that's great. So we go at it from a sort of a traditional route to get clients on board. A lot of vehicles in London are associated with logistics. We just work in London at the moment, but we're going sort of through a funding round at the moment that will hopefully enable us to expand throughout the UK. Of those significant proportion of vehicles in London on the streets every day, a lot of them contribute to CO2 emissions and all the other things that are associated with tailpipe emissions. Noise, congestion, the increase in e-commerce is only ever going to see vehicles numbers increase. And this is an old graph, but even by 2008, the light goods vehicles are increasing quite dramatically, and that's only ever going to get more and more. So there's a real dichotomy going on there. We touched on this just before, but congestion, disturbance of noise and visual impact. It's a complex system, certainly in London, to deliver parcels and packages. There's lack of space. Buildings aren't thought out from the ground up as to receive deliveries. Some of your new buildings, the loading bays are all thought out a bit more, but it's very difficult. And it will only get harder. There's all sorts of constraints, and for larger companies, the Euro standards coming in, congestion charging. What we find is that a lot of, the typical white van man you see, he's banging about on the streets, very stressed, got to get all the drops out, can't find parking spaces. We try and avoid that. We avoided that by not knowing what the hell we were doing when we started. We knew nothing about delivering a parcel. We knew a little bit about electric vehicles. So we came at it from a real sort of grassroots angle. We built this business around electric vehicles. We built this business about how we think the people involved in it should act and behave. And it's been tough, as I've said, but we're innovating. In London, you have, and actually over the UK now, you have interesting innovation in the same-day market, which we're not involved in. But Shuttle are an online aggregator for spare capacity of couriers. So if you buy something from Argos, for example, you'll get the option to shuttle it, which enables them to draw on spare capacity of couriers in the area. So that's a good sort of, it's not electric, but it's a good positive innovation. For us, the innovation is in the next day market, and we're doing some same day, but next day and beyond. And it's all about our quality of service. There we go. Quality of service. For us, it's about employing all our staff. We've got about 47 people who work with us. And they're all aligned with what we're trying to do. We try and employ from the local community as far as possible. If we can, we try and get long-term unemployed people into work, perhaps working in the warehouse and working their way up. We've occupied an environmental niche, and for us, the people are very important as well. And this has impacted very well on our service levels. So our clients are very, very happy with how we're performing. So it's just a bit about what we feel are really core values for our people. So as I mentioned, we work for some retailers, we work for other logistics companies. We find that they love what we do, they love the vehicles. They almost sort of assume personalities of themselves. And we're trying all sorts of things on social media coming up over this next few months about giving the vehicles names, giving them characters, trying to get the public to interact with what we're trying to do, and trying to make this sort of rather laggard, old, dirty, polluting industry a bit more fun and quirky. All sorts of challenges, as you all know, with electric vehicles. Certainly the cost. You know, we're even finding that now at the moment. You know, we've got a fleet of over 30 vehicles, and it's very difficult to get finance for them because it's the residual value question. So to get someone to give you a lease is quite difficult. I mean, we built up a bit of a track record now, so we're okay. But certainly at the beginning, we had to raise a lot of money from angel investment to help us purchase the vehicles up front. We need this constant affirmation and reaffirmation of attitudes and perceptions. They need to change, and we need that to carry on. Legislation, for example, our cargo cycles, which you saw at the beginning, which are the three-wheeled vehicles with the big box on the back, they're actually classed as low-powered mopeds. They have electric motors, they're pedal assist cycles, but they're classed as low-powered mopeds. So we've had to put them through VOSA testing to get them on the road. So they have number plates as well. So we're up against it right from the beginning in terms of legislation. Challenges for us as well, there's space in city centres to be able to sort parcels. We receive goods in from our clients, so we go and pick it up, and then we sort in our micro-consolidation hubs in London. Space in city centres is very hard to come by, and it's very expensive. So that's been a real challenge, and I'll talk through what we're trying to do to combat that a little bit later on. So yeah, it's all about this continued innovation. We need to keep thinking outside the box. There are all sorts of carbon reduction targets coming in. Boris has just announced his sort of low emission zone by 2020. He wants fully electric central London. And I mentioned the dichotomy before of rising e-commerce, rising number of vehicles, but yet you've got these really quite large targets that need to be hit. The only way you're going to do that is by sending freight through companies like us. For us, the growth comes through trying to tap into that e-retail market as well as getting more work through other third-party logistics companies. So we've just signed on with TNT for several more routes, expanding our geographical scope with them, which is terrific. And it's good to have the confirmation and affirmation from them and the support. As a city centre logistics operation, we require and we rely on a good regional trunking network. So we need to partner with large organisations who are able to get us the goods, which we can then deliver on electric vehicles. So you still have that core emission from the trunking legs, but it's reduced dramatically by using us for the final mile, in inverted commas. So this is what we're doing on the innovation front, and I'll just finish with this, this slide. We're developing a city logistics system, sort of a mobile depot concept, if you will. We have an IT system we already use, but the bottom left slide picture on the slide there shows, and that's the Bluebird City 3.5-ton vehicle. We've developed these containers in this system where the containers are filled outside city centres at clients' locations, or perhaps in time a location that we might utilise and consolidate in. Those containers are then brought into city centres and offloaded onto vehicles such as the ones on the right-hand side, plus small electric vans. So you might get a couple of those containers on the back of a van. You'll get one on the back of those cargo cycles, and we're developing those cargo cycles ourselves. And you see the bottom right-hand picture there. That's how far we've got. We're almost there with those. And we're very proud of this. This is really exciting for us. We've got a little bit more money to raise to realise it, but we should be testing the system sort of towards the middle of this year, which is fantastic. And we really feel that this will change the way that things are done. We've proven how to do it so far in London. If we can bring this in London and have it as a proof of concept, then we can proliferate this throughout the UK and hopefully Europe as well. And that is that. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for having me.